Hey guys, so today we're going to do the unboxing and overview of the Hifiman HM901s. So this is a high-end digital audio player from 2015. So yes, it is an old digital audio player, but me as an electronics collector, I got this basically for my collection because it seemed pretty interesting to me. I'm interested in all sorts of electronics and gadgets, including digital audio players. So I decided to pick this one up. The original retail price was $1,500 US back in 2015. I got it for about $500. So still pretty expensive, but to be fair, this was one of Hifiman's highest end digital audio players. I mean, they do have higher end ones like the R2 R2000, but this is definitely one of the most highest end digital audio players before they stopped making them. So a bit of background about Hifiman. So Hifiman is a fairly well-known name in audiophile circles. They're most well known for making open-back planar magnetic headphones. They actually pioneered the planar magnetic technology, and as a Chinese brand, I think they're very, very well respected. Like these days, you have a lot of great Chinese brands out there, right? But back in the mid-2000s when Hifiman was out there, most people just thought, you know, Chinese products were like pretty shitty. But Hifiman really worked to change that. They were actually very innovative. They basically popularized planar magnetic headphones on the headphone market. So they're well known for like their high-end Sesvaras, even the Shangri-Las, which are electrostatic headphones. But I would say Sesvara and the Aria, the HE1000, I've tried those before. I've owned those before. Those are very, very good open back planar magnetic headphones. And even to the lower end, like the Sundaras and the Edition XS and the Anandas, yeah, Hifiman has overall cultivated a legacy of great sounding products, especially open back planar magnetic headphones. But if you go back in their history, they also made digital audio players as well. In fact, they're one of the pioneers of making high-end digital audio players. This is years before Astle and Kern got on the scene. So these days, a lot of people who are audiophiles might know of Astle and Kern, who they make a lot of high-end DAPs. But before Astle and Kern came out, there was Hifiman, and they really kind of pioneered high-end DAP market. So we take a look at the HM901s because it is probably one of their later DAPs before they stopped making them. Now, I don't exactly know why they stopped making them because the DAP market is pretty much very competitive right now. I mean, you got brands like a lot of Chinese brands like FiO and Cowon and Shanling and Ibeso and you know, Hibi or Hibi. Like they're all kind of competing, and a lot of new DAPs are coming out all the time. Astle and Kern, of course, is part of that as well. I don't know why exactly Hifiman just kind of stepped out of that market. Maybe they thought it got too competitive, because back in the day, they were one of the pioneers of this market, of the high-end digital audio player market. People who wanted an upgrade from the typical iPod and Creative Zens and Zunes of the day would go for Hifiman. But unfortunately, yeah, they don't make DAPs anymore. They haven't made DAPs in like 10 years, basically. This was one of their very last DAPs. They made the R2 R2000, which was the very first DAP with an R2R DAC inside of it. So they're fairly innovative, I would say. And you guys will see that with the HM901s, they've done something very innovative as well, which is swappable amp modules, something that Cowon and Ibeso and actually Luxury and Precision even right now have followed. So yeah, we can check the side here. It says HM901s. Yeah, so 2 ES9018, which is actually a fairly state-of-the-art DAC back in 2015, 2016. So that's actually, yeah, pretty much the flagship at the time and one of the best DACs in the industry at the time. Still is, actually. Still holds up really well. And yeah, you got the frequency response and yeah, 256 gig SSD. So SD, sorry. This is the most that it can accept. It doesn't mean that it has built-in storage. So yeah, no built-in storage, but it can accept up to 256 gig SSD. It should last, what, 8 hours battery? So yeah, anyways, those are some of the specs there. But let's take a look. Let's look what's inside the box here. Okay, so this is what it comes with. Of course, this is secondhand, but this is pretty much what it came with. So you get a proprietary kind of cable here, and I can see that, well, you got something that's similar to RCA. It's not exactly RCA because it's got an extra black cable here. So I wonder what that's for. So you got a proprietary connector. Yeah, this proprietary connector right here, and yeah, you got the RCA red and white, but you also get this black, so I wonder what that is. Anyways, this looks like some kind of audio out interface for sure. So it looks like it has a proprietary audio cable basically. And then you get, this is, oh my god, you get, this is like something you'd get in a laptop, huh? This is a digital audio player, right? I'm kind of surprised that the power supply is like this. Wow, okay, so this is a power supply for the charging the DAP, but wow, it is like a laptop-sized charger. And this is the same proprietary cable. So yes, no USB-C or even micro USB here. The Hifiman DAPs use a proprietary charging cable. But wow, I'm just surprised about the size of this thing. I mean, this is for a digital audio player. This is like, it looks like something that's for a laptop, right? But wow, this is actually for charging a digital audio player. That's pretty hefty. And then you also have another proprietary connector to USB-A. So I guess this is for connecting to your computer to transfer your music files over. So that makes sense. Yeah, proprietary connectors kind of suck. Some DAPs had it back then. Sony Walkmans actually had it back then as well. But definitely micro USB. I mean, for 2015, I would hope for micro USB to be the standard by then, but it's too bad the Hifiman decided, for whatever reason, to use a proprietary connector, which is actually harkening back to the 2000s days of the iPods and the Creative Zens and Zunes and stuff. Those all had proprietary connectors. So this is a very 2000s move, Hifiman, very old school, using proprietary connectors like that. Also gives you like a little screwdriver thing in case you want to open up the amp module. I think this is because it has swappable amp modules. So you can swap out the amp cards inside of this thing, and they give you a screwdriver to do that. So that's cool. But yeah, this is the player itself. I think there's nothing else because I think the original manual is not included with my unit. But yeah, anyways, this is what it looks like, the Hifiman HM901s. It feels pretty premium in the hand because it is all solid aluminum chassis here. So in terms of build quality, it's actually really, really nice. And one reason why I got it for my collection, now I'm not going to use this as a daily driver because there's better DAPs out there nowadays, but one reason I got it for my collection is just look at it. Basically, it's essentially like a high-end iPod, right? You have the click wheel here. And to be honest, the HM901s is a revision of another Hifiman product, the HM901, which came out, I think, in 2013, so 2 years before, and had like a worse UI, I think, and the click wheel wasn't quite as good. So Hifiman kind of improved the click wheel, improved the buttons here, added a better UI, which I'll take a look at because this UI is still not very good, but better than the one that came before. And I think the DAC is still the same. So specs on this, the DAC, it uses two ES9018, that's Sabre chips inside of it. ES9018 is a very capable chip. It's been used for a lot of different devices, like some of the LG V60 phones had it. The Opus number 2 that I reviewed a few weeks ago, that one had it. I think the AudioQuest, not the Cobalt, the AudioQuest Dragonfly black, I think, or red, one of them uses the ES9018. So it's a fairly well-respected DAC. It was ESS Sabre's former flagship back in the day. So it's still very, very capable. It's got 2 of them. I'm guessing one for each channel. And it's got, let's see. So the amp card, it depends on what amp card you have inside of here. So I think by default, it comes with a balanced amp card. So the balanced amp card, it has OPA 627, 2 of those, and 2 OPA 2107s. So yeah, those are the amp cards it uses, one for unbalanced and one's for balanced input. It's got DSD ready, upsampling to 24192, improved Taichi UI, which is a newer UI, I guess. And yes, the swappable amp cards, support for all your high-res files and everything. Does not come with built-in storage, I don't think. So it supports up to 256 gigabyte SD card, which I guess was the highest that you can support at the time. Yeah, of course, nowadays you have SD cards that go up to a terabyte, but back in 2015, yeah, 256 gig would have been the max. Battery life is 9 hours. Yeah, we can take a look at this this player because it is a very unique looking player nowadays. You won't see any digital audio players these days kind of look like this, because nowadays digital audio players are all like, you know, full touchscreen, Android OS and stuff, or you know, Linux. But this thing is really built well. You can see why it cost so much back then. Definitely one of the more expensive DAPs back then. Not the most expensive. I believe the Aston Current, what is it, 240 or 380 would have been more expensive, but still definitely one of the flagship DAPs of its time. So this screen looks like a, what, 2.4 inch or something, or 2.8 inch. Not exactly sure the size. It doesn't say on the specs, but it looks like a 2.8 maybe screen. Obviously it's not going to be a great screen because it's just for navigation of music, but it's fine, you know. Just for navigation of music and stuff. You're not going to be watching videos or something on this thing. I got a home button right here, play, pause, next track, previous track, and the click wheel for navigation. So notice that, yeah, this does not have a touch screen. So you need all these physical buttons. This is to go back, and then this one is for confirming or enter. So very reminiscent in many ways of the 2000 music players like the iPod and some of the other ones. Creative Zen, even though that one had like a touch strip, this one uses the click wheel. That's very iPod-esque, I would say. Nowadays, I think you still can get some DAPs like this, like the Hi-Fi Walker, I think, but it's not common. Like these days, definitely the Android touchscreen players are definitely more common than this. But yeah, I kind of wanted to get this for my collection because it is like, for the legacy of Hifiman, for kind of innovating and pioneering the high-end DAP market, and then for this kind of unique design, which you can't even find anymore now. Yeah, very, very cool. You also have the volume dial right here, which is, yeah, it uses a volume pot right here. So you kind of can scroll through it like this. And I think it goes all the way, I think this would be the end, yeah. So you go from 0 all the way up to, I guess, 8 right here. So yeah, it goes from 0 to 8. And I don't know exactly like if that's the actual volume steps, but it's maybe it's equating to like, I know there's like little marks in between, so you can kind of go like 7 point like 33 or 7.77 and then 8 or something like that. It kind of divides it into like thirds like that. So it's interesting. I guess I'll have to see how it works when I boot up the UI, but pretty interesting dial here, because nowadays in modern DAPs you have kind of a dial on the side here, or you have a dial on top, but you won't have a dial like this. This is kind of unique to this Hifiman here. Yeah, Hifiman DAPs just kind of look unique. So yeah, pretty unique to Hifiman. So on top you have the balanced and the normal jack here. Again, this can be changed depending on what amp card you use. So this one has the balanced amp card by default, which does have the balanced output. Now keep in mind, one of these balanced is actually 3.5 balanced, which is also called 3.5 TRRS. It's another standard for balanced back then. Nowadays you don't see it as much, so you have to use like a special adapter for this. Because nowadays the balance standard is 4.4, and you'll see that on most players nowadays. Back then you had different competing standards like 3.5 TRRS and 2.5 is another one. So yeah, Hifiman unfortunately went with the 3.5 TRRS, which is honestly one of the hardest to find. Like out of the three, I think 2.5 would have been even better, but 3.5, the only other one I saw it on is the Cowon Plenue S that I did a review on a couple days ago. Yeah, it's really not that common of a connector, so unfortunately they went with that. And the other amp cards, by the way, that you can swap out is there's an IEM amp card, there's like a mini box amp card, whatever that means. So yeah, there's like one just for IEMs, which is like lower gain. I don't know what the mini box one does too much. There's also this gold card, which is used for like called the musical card, and it supposedly sounds more like vacuum tubes. So those are pretty interesting as well. I'm not going to go on the search to find those ones. Those will cost a lot more, because these days finding any of this stuff, these accessories, is going to be more on the expensive end. It's really for collectors at this point. So I'm not going to go on the search for those amp cards, but I'll just stick with the default balanced amp card, I guess. Yeah, on the right side you get the switch here for locking, so you don't accidentally press on the switches. Again, something you get on 2000s players as well. Reset pinhole right here, and the power is actually a switch right here. Very interesting and old school design. Then on the left side you get the full size SD card slot. Yeah, that's right, it's a full size. Reason why they didn't use micro SD back then is because the full size actually stored a bit more back then. So micro SD back in 2015, I think might have topped out around 128 or something. I know the full size topped out at 256 gigs. The micro SD might have topped out around 128 gigabytes. I don't know, but that could be why they're using full size here. Because yeah, micro SD did not get up to the 512 gigabyte range until like 2018, I would say. Then back here, just says Hifiman, of course, made in China. This being a Chinese company, Hifiman Electronics Corporation. Yeah. And overall, you can see the dial from even back behind here. It's a pretty interesting design. Yeah, overall, it's really well built. And then you get the proprietary charger down here. Another throwback to 2000s DAPs, you know? Like on digital audio players. Back then, it would be MP3 player, right? Yeah, that's a throwback to a Creative Zen Vision M or like a iPod with these proprietary connectors. Microsoft Zune also had it. Yeah. This is very much like a very old school DAP. It already is from the age. I mean, this came out in 2015 as a revision of a 2013 DAP, but which is old school, I guess, by today's standards. That's like, you know, 10, 12 years old. But the design is actually going back to 2000s DAPs, 2000s MP3 players like the Creative Zen and the iPod and the Zune and everything. So yeah, just kind of a very interesting looking design. So I got this for my collection because I'm like, you know, this is still a pretty high-end DAP. It's got the two HM901s DACs inside of it, and it's got swappable amp modules, which is just the amp, by the way. It uses the same DAC. It's just swapping out the amp. Nowadays, you have other companies like Cowon and Luxury Precision and iBasso, and yeah, they have the swappable amp modules as well. But I think with those ones, you also swap out the DAC as well. But this one is just swapping out the amp only. So you keep the same DAC, but you swap out the amp section of the circuit, I guess. But it's still kind of a pioneer in that sense because, yeah, like this was one of the first digital audio players to do that, to have something like that. So that's pretty cool. Nowadays, you buy Cowon N63, N62. Yeah, on the iBassos, like DX340 or DX320, you can swap out the amps. Luxury Precision E7, right? You can swap out the amps and DAC on those. But yeah, Hifiman was like the first to do it back then. So that's pretty cool from a historical standpoint, an innovation standpoint, and also from just like this being essentially an audiophile version of the iPod Classic. Yeah, I think that's why I picked this up. So anyways, I'll turn on the UI and then we'll talk about sound quality after, because this should still be pretty good sounding actually, even though it's old. So stay tuned for that. So actually, let's take a look at what amp card is inside of this thing, and see what it is. So yeah, we have the screwdriver that was included, right? So let's open it up, and it's pretty simple. We just got these two screws down here, and yeah, it should be pretty simple to open that up. Okay, just got to move this one. They're pretty tiny, so make sure you don't lose them. So yeah, that's it, just those two screws, and then we just gotta slide the back cover off like this. Okay, it does have a removable battery, so that's there. So then take that removable battery off, and that's the amp card right here. Which yeah, it clicks in, it's supposed to click in like this. So yeah, what I noticed is that this is basically the musical amp card, which is the gold amp card. So you can kind of, so there's a little latch right here. So you just undo this latch here, and it's supposed to, yeah, come out like this. Oops, push it down a bit. Yeah, push it down, and it should come out like that, and you just take it out like that. And yeah, so this is the so-called musical version, which is like, I guess, like kind of like a tube sound or something like that. Yeah, this is supposed to be the musical amp card, not the balanced amp card like I expected. So yeah, this ended up being the gold card. Okay, I thought it was the balanced card, but yeah, the gold card's in here. Press it down, and then put the battery back in. Yeah, so if you want to swap amp cards, it's really that easy. You just take this thing out, put the new one in. It's pretty much just as easy as swapping out an SSD on your laptop. So it's fairly simple. Okay, and then let's put this back in. Just two screws is all it takes. And then put these two screws back in. Okay, let's boot this device up. Take a look. Okay, so there we go. Hifiman HM901s, high fidelity music player. Yeah, this is not a touchscreen, so can't do anything there, but this is a bit of a boot up time here. Just gotta wait for a bit. Hopefully it works. I've heard, yeah, these old Hifimans might have a lot of issues playing from the SD card, but we'll see. Okay, so this should be the Taichi UI V2, I guess, which should be an improved version of the UI in the original HM901. Pretty flashy intro there. Okay, so it tries to read the SD card when it boots up, but then there's an SD card error. So unfortunately, yeah, I've actually tried this many times, and I don't think that it can read this SD card. So it detects the presence of the SD card, but it can never read it. See, it says preparing SD card, and it always says SD card error. So unfortunately, yeah, I can't get this working, and I've tried like basically everything. I've tried formatting the SD card using the official SD card formatter to FAT32 or exFAT. That's what you're supposed to do according to some troubleshooting guides online. That didn't work. Tried blowing air, compressed air into the contacts to see if there's any issue with the contacts. Nope, that didn't work. I tried using multiple different SD cards. None of them worked. Unfortunately, I can't get the this player working with the SD cards. So unfortunately, I can't actually show you guys it working. And this has no built-in internal storage. So there's just no way for me to play music from this thing because it only relies on the SD card. There's no internal storage, and the SD card reader seems like it doesn't work. But we can still take a look at the interface here. So now playing is not going to work because there's no SD card. So it says SD card error. Yep. But we can take a look. Favorite, SD card, artist. Yeah, you just use the scroll wheel, of course, to navigate. This very iPod-ish. Album, genre, all songs. Yeah. It only reads from the SD card, unfortunately. If it had built-in storage, it might not be so bad, but since this has no built-in storage, it only has SD card, then it's basically unusable right now. SPDIF is pretty interesting. You can change one of these jacks to be a SPDIF input as well. But yeah, that does not work here. Switch, nope. Eject ST, well there's, you could, but no point. Settings, we can go into settings and take a look. So this is the latest firmware. I made sure I was running the latest firmware as well, so it's not an issue with that. Repeat, you can change that to one or all off. Shuffle on, backlight, you can change those to always on, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or 1 minute. Resume playback, on or off. Sleep mode, it's up to 30 minutes. Auto power off after 5, 10 to 30 minutes. Brightness, you can adjust that. It's full brightness right now. Cue support, you can turn that on and off. Not actually sure what that means. Language, you can change that. Gain, high gain or low gain. Again, I'm actually not sure how much output this has in terms of output power, but yeah, we can't even test it anyways. SPDIF in, yep, you can change that here as well. Digital filter, you can change that to on or off. Interesting, I wonder what that changes. Updating media database, again, you can't do this because there's no SD card. It won't detect it. So yeah, I think it's just kind of, yeah, this won't work, I don't think. But basically, if you do have an SD card, it will kind of try to rescan the SD card for songs if you do this. But yeah, that won't work. Yeah, I think it just kind of restarted itself there. Yep. Reset settings. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you press home, you'll go back to this home screen. play, pause, and next or previous. Yeah, we don't have a song running, so we can't do that. So unfortunately, this is about all I can do here, since I can't load anything from the SD card. I'll try to see if there's a way to get this fixed or repaired, or just send it back and try to get a new one. But yeah, unfortunately, can't get the SD card working. Volume knob is right here, but or volume dial, but yeah, again, we can't test it because we can't play any songs on this thing. So yeah, it's unfortunate I can't get the SD card reader working. I've tried everything. Yeah, blowing compressed air. I've tried formatting it multiple times using not quick format, by the way. I'm using overwrite format to do it, which takes like 30 minutes. It still doesn't work. Yeah, you have to like make it FAT32, which I did. It doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know what else to do. Like I tried multiple times rebooting it, restarting it, resetting it. Nothing works. Tried multiple different SD cards, full size and micro with an adapter. Nothing works. So I have to say that it's probably something with the SD card reader, unfortunately. And there's not much we can do about it. So I have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to send this unit back because it doesn't work. That's too bad, you know, because I really was looking forward to see how this thing sounds, you know. And this actually, I do like this navigation interface with this little scroll wheel here. It's actually like fairly responsive, because the thing is, like, a lot of players these days, a lot of digital audio players are not responsive even when they have the, you know, new operating system or touchscreen. It's still not responsive, but this click wheel is still fairly responsive. So I do like this click wheel interface actually. It's pretty simple to use. Anyone who's using an iPod will be familiar with it. And really the Hifiman is like a super luxury version of an iPod. So yeah, I do like this click wheel interface. Really old school and analog feeling. Would have been a nice addition to my collection if it worked. Yeah, and having this nice rotary dial up here that's pretty unique to Hifiman, that's actually pretty cool as well. And then there's swappable amp modules, that's pretty cool. It does have balanced output even though it's a 3.5 balanced. Yeah, and too bad, you know, some people online do say they say this still sounds pretty good. ES9018 DAC inside of it, two of them, and with a musical amp inside, you know. I really was looking forward to listen to this and see how well it sounds, but unfortunately, yeah, I can't load anything on it and doesn't have any internal storage. So, yeah, it's a shame. I'm gonna have to return this unit, unfortunately. I wish it worked, you know, because this is actually a really cool looking device, right? I'm a gadget collector, I'm an electronics collector, you know, I always like to collect really unique, interesting looking products, even retro looking products, and the Hifiman HM901s would have been a nice addition to my collection, but yeah, unfortunately it has issues. So yeah, it's too bad. This would have been a nice addition to my collection for sure. It's like a really luxury, super luxury feeling version of the iPod essentially, and of course has a better DAC and everything as well. Yeah, it would have been nice to get this working, and actually I do like the controls and everything. The UI is actually fairly smooth. Now, I don't know if it's, you know, if you load a lot of songs onto it, then maybe it might not be smooth, but yeah, this UI is actually not too bad. And it's really unique looking, you know, like nowadays, it's all the DAPs that you see nowadays are touchscreen, right? So to have these retro physical controls, yeah, swappable amp modules, you know, one of the first DAPs with swappable amp modules. Nowadays you have Cowon and you have iBasso and you have Luxury Precision, other companies doing it as well, but Hifiman really was the original company that had the swappable amp modules. So they were the ones that really first came out with it. So really would have been a nice addition to my collection. It's just too bad the SD card reader has this issue with it. So fortunately, yeah, I have to return it because it doesn't really work. But as a historical device, I think it's a nice addition to a collection. So anyways, the Hifiman HM901s, guys, too bad I can't get it working, but it is a really cool looking device, and like historically as a DAP maker, Hifiman is historically important. They were one of the first, if not the first, company to come out with a super luxury, like high-end digital audio player, right? Like it's before Astell and Kern. It's before all the Chinese companies that you see now, like Shanling and iBasso and Cowon and stuff. And Cowon too. You know, Cowon did get into the high-end business. They were not. Originally they were just like the iRiver and Creative Zen, right, and Zune and them. They with the iAudio stuff and this in the SanDisk Sansa, Toshiba Gigabeat. You know, they originally Cowon was not. Cowon got into the high-end, I think. Yeah, after Hifiman as well. So with the Plenue line of high-end digital audio players was also after Hifiman. So Hifiman really was the original when it came to high-end DAPs. They were like a pioneer of that category. So it would have been nice to have this in my collection. So anyways, it's too bad. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the HM901S. Really wish I could have got it working. So yeah, it's too bad. Anyways, that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh yeah, to show you guys the off animation, because actually there is an animation when you turn it off. It's actually pretty cool. It's like a TV screen. There we go. See that? It's like turning off a TV, like an old school TV. That's pretty cool. So I know the 901S had issues loading songs from the SD card and had just issues reading the SD card in general. I didn't know how to fix it. I tried formatting the card every which way. You know, tried inserting many types of SD cards and nothing worked. So I returned it and I got another Hifiman player. So this one, it looks pretty much similar to the 901S. As you guys can see, externally it looks almost the same, but it's actually a different model. This one is the HM901u. So what's different about the 901u? Well, I looked it up and there's like very small differences between them. Yeah, I don't know why Hifiman makes so many of these models, but it's a bit confusing. But the HM901U apparently came out a little bit before the 901S. Like this came out really at the beginning of 2015. The 901S came a little bit later, I think a few months after this one. And so the difference is this. So the original 901 came out in 2013. And that one had the ES9018 chip inside of it and everything. But externally it looked pretty different. It had an older UI and everything. 901S improves upon it with this chassis, right? And a better scroll wheel, and it updates the crystal oscillators and improved analog components like the op amps and everything are all updated on the 901S. So basically 901S is like an improved version of the 901, right? What about the 901U? Well, this one is sort of like an in-between. So basically it has the internals of the 901. So this does not include the updated crystal oscillators or improved op amps, which means it sounds the same as the 901. It does not sound like the better 901S. And it has the updated UI of the 901S and the updated chassis of the 901S. So it's kind of like an in-between model between the 901 and 901S. So it's kind of confusing, but I think that's what it is from what I researched online. So sound quality isn't going to be quite as good as the 901S, but UI wise and the, you know, externally wise, it looks similar to the 901S. I know it's kind of confusing. So it's got the internals of the 901, but within the housing of the 901S. Very, very confusing. But yeah, anyways, it actually is a little bit different externally. So I'll show you guys. So it's externally, it looks the same because it's got the same scroll wheel here. And it's got the same Tai Chi 2.0 UI here that you see on the 901S. This is all in Chinese. I don't know how to change it back into English, but yeah. It doesn't have any visual artifacting though that the other unit did. So I think this is the fixed version. So like the 901S I think I had before was a little bit messed up. This one doesn't have any visual artifacting. Yeah, it has the home button right here, play, pause, next track, previous track, return, enter on right here. And navigational scroll, and of course the volume dial right here, which is a very unique volume dial that only Hifiman uses, goes up all the way up to well, it's hard to tell exactly how many steps, but you guys can count it. Basically there's like 4 steps in between each of the major clicks, I guess, and there's 8 clicks and there's an additional like 2 clicks in between each major one. So yeah, basically it's like 1 major click and 2 minor clicks in between. But anyways, I think for my IEMs, I find like around 4 is about right. But you can also adjust that, and this is another thing that's different about this one. So here's the side of the 901U. So you do have the same locking mechanism here if you don't want to, yeah, if you don't want to accidentally navigate. See, it's locked, so that works. And you just have the same power button here and reset button. So the difference on 901U is that it actually has a low gain to high gain switch right here, which the 901S does not have. And yeah, just using this, I don't know actually about the actual output power of the HM901. Hifiman doesn't really reveal that, but yeah, if you put it to high gain, I think it's like a little bit more powerful, but it's not by much, like from what I can perceive. Yeah, I tried using this with, you know, just IEMs and stuff, but yeah, it seems like low and high is a minimal difference between the two. Maybe that's why they didn't have this switch on the 901S, because, well, obviously high is a little bit higher gain, but it's not a huge noticeable difference. It's like, basically, I can explain it like this. If on low gain, it's like I had to put it to 4. If I put it on high gain, yeah, so low gain is like about 4 is about my listening volume, and if I put it to high gain, then I have to decrease it to maybe like 1 or 2 steps like this. That's it. Like that's like the only difference. It's like, okay, it's a little bit more powerful, so I just decrease like 1 or 2 steps and to get the same volume. So really there's almost no difference. It's like, okay, just a difference of like 1 or 2 steps on the volume dial. That's about it. So I think this low high gain switch is making a very small difference there. Okay, and this side, of course, you have the SD card reader, which does work on this device. So this is a working Hifiman, which is nice. And I'll show you guys the UI for playing the songs in a bit. Back here, you still have the removable back, which you can change out the amps on it. And first, I'm going to listen on the default amp, which is actually different than the one I got on the 901S that I had before. But yeah, let's take a look. So I did load the SD card. This is what happens actually when you load it. So you'll see SD card removed. And yeah, so now when you have a working SD card reader, there shouldn't be any error. You should just start loading the songs. Yeah, I think it just loaded. Okay, so that's pretty fast. Well, I didn't have too many songs on there anyways, but this is the now playing. You can go here for now playing, so I was just playing this song. Yeah, Magnetic. So that's what I was playing. Oops. And you can see the, yeah, so the bit rate right here. Pause. Yeah, so you can see the bit rate right here, 16-bit, 44 kilohertz, the length of song force, and has this big pause button. But let's play it, and it'll show you the album cover and song name and everything. So yeah, that's now playing. And you can go back into the file view right here. And this is the browser view. Oh, actually no, playlist. This will be playlist, yeah. So this is a favorites playlist, which I don't have anything favorited right now. This is the SD card browser view, so this would be the folder view. So in most DAPs, you can just view the folder like this, and it's a easy way to, this will be the main way of navigating songs for those of you guys who are organized. And then artist, this is one I tend to use. It just goes by the ID3 tags, right? So you can see the artist right here. So if you want to go to like Bruno Mars, go to Evening Silk Sonic here, there, and then I'll play that. Leave the door open. Yeah, and I'll show you the album cover and everything. So it's okay. Actually, the UI is not too bad. It's not laggy or anything. A lot of people say the UI for Hifiman players suck, but the 901, the 901U and the 901S, the UI is actually pretty good. This is by album, so you have an album view as well. So you also have by genre here, which I don't really like to use too much, but you got genre view, and then you got all songs right here. Yeah, that's all the songs. I mean, it is a bit slow, of course, to scroll using the quick wheel. Yeah, it doesn't speed up like on the iPod. If you have an iPod, if you keep doing this, it'll actually scroll up the speed. So I kind of understand why people is like, okay, this is a really annoying type of navigation to use. But that's only if you have like a lot of songs and you go with all songs, right? Normally, I think you should probably just go by artist or by folder. It would be easier, and if you don't have too much. Of course, if you have a lot of songs and artists, then yeah, it's going to be tiring to scroll through all that. Yeah, but if you have just like, you know, like not thousands and thousands of artists, then it should be okay. If you have them properly organized into the folder, it should be okay to scroll using this. So yeah, I do like the feeling of the scroll wheel though. Yeah, it feels really, really nice. Yeah, and this player in general is really well built. Yeah, nice aluminum chassis and everything. It just feels like a really premium high-end iPod. But yeah, this model also has the same jacks, of course, as the 901S, the balanced and normal. I don't have a 3.5 balanced. It's not really a common connector to use, so I just use the normal 3.5. And then on the bottom, you have Hifiman's proprietary charger. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is because this is a kind of an old school player, so it does use the proprietary stuff. Anyways, let me tell you guys about the sound quality. I did test this out for a bit already, and off the unbalanced 3.5. And what I can say is that unfortunately, I never got the chance to listen to the 901S because it couldn't load any songs. But the 901U, if this has the same internals as 901, then this is pretty much what the 901 sounds like as well. I feel like the sound quality is okay. It's kind of like a neutral type of sound quality, and has two ES901A in it. And I think that's what ES901A is kind of known for. It's kind of like a neutral, detailed type of sound quality. However, I think due to the op amps used in here, which are not as good as the op amps in the 901S, yeah, everything sounds a little bit congested. So I think this is one of the things I noticed when I switch between DAPs. You know, if you don't have another DAP to compare side by side, you won't notice this too much. But if you have another DAP to compare side by side, then you can notice the tonality differences as well as the feeling of a wider soundstage versus a congested soundstage. So this feels like it has a congested soundstage, and just feels like, yeah, the instrument separation, the imaging, right, and everything's kind of closer together. It's more tightly packed, and doesn't feel like the soundstage is as wide as a lot of the other DAPs that I have. So I have a few other pure music players to compare it to. So released roughly around the same time, a little bit later, but around the same time, is the Cowon Plenue S. So this was the flagship Cowon player. And this one has a PCM 1792A DAC inside of it, a burr brown. This one sounds noticeably a little bit warmer, and detail-wise, I would say not too different, but in terms of that soundstage I was talking about, yeah, this one feels less congested. Plus, this one has jet effect, which is a huge difference because it adds in this really nice DSP, which will make all your songs basically just sound better. So, Plenue S easily takes it over the HM901u. Although I don't know the exact price of the HM901u. I think the HM901s was $1,500, right? This one, I'm not so sure. Maybe it was around the same price. I got it for $600 online. Still quite a bit to pay for an old player, but you know, this is more for a collector's piece more than anything. I'm not expecting to have really great sound quality out of it. Because this is a player from like 2014, 2015, right? I didn't buy it for the sound quality. I bought it mainly for my collection. So this being more of like a historic piece, right? The Hifiman being one of the pioneering companies that makes DAPs and planar magnetic headphones, I had to have a piece from their collection. Another player to mention, which also used the Hifiman's design, is the Lotu Paw Gold, the original Lotu, and that came out I think in 2014, and yeah, pretty much I would say copied the HM901's design, except it put in PCM 1792A DAC inside of it instead of the ES901A. Now, I believe the Paw Gold does sound a little bit better. It does not have the swappable amp modules though, but it pretty much took the design from the HM901. And yeah, I mean, I think most people who have tried both would say that on the stock amp cards, the Paw Gold probably sounds better, but the HM901, of course, and the S and U versions can all upgrade the amp cards. So that makes the Hifiman still more versatile than the Lotu. But yeah, that's another notable DAP, I would say, that kind of just copied Hifiman's design. Didn't keep the swappable amp cards, but did upgrade the DAC a bit and improved some of the technicalities a bit. But yeah, I think that's the beginning of Lotu. You know, that's a kind of a revered DAP company now among Chinese audiophiles, and they started really with really kind of just copying Hifiman's 901 design and just kind of running with that. So yeah, got this for $600 online. They are not easy to find here in North America. Maybe in China it was easier to find, but in North America it's kind of hard to find these old Hifiman players. So you could say that yeah, it's still fairly expensive for an old device like this, but I don't know the original retail price for this. Maybe it was around 1,500, the same as the 901S. But yeah, the Plenue S retailed for, I think, around, well, over $2,000 maybe, or around $2,000 US back then. It was pretty expensive, but definitely in terms of feeling congestion from the soundstage, the Cowon Plenue S does not have that. It's a bit wider soundstage, and detail retrieval might be similar, but it has a more warm, organic sound to it, more natural sound, and the soundstage doesn't feel as congested. Plus, you have the jet effect, which you can use to make, yeah, pretty much everything just a little bit better. You know, with the BBE MP or the BBE Viva 2 setting is what I use a lot too. Just, yeah, kind of just makes everything feel a little bit more clarity, because that's what the BBE technology kind of does, is kind of aligns the phase and everything. Some kind of magic they're doing there, so it makes everything feel like it has a bit more clarity to it. So overall, yes, Plenue S is better sounding. What about some of a few more newer players? I mean, just slightly newer. The Crystal QP2R, which came out 2018. This one is interesting because I felt like the balanced and the unbalanced has a huge difference in sound. This one retailed for $1,300 back in 2018, I believe. Also has a scroll wheel, although it doesn't really work as well as the one on the Hifiman. The Hifiman one, it's actually quite responsive, but the one on the Crystal is actually not very responsive, so I end up using these touch controls instead. But yeah, this one, it's quite a bit of power. Hifiman does not have as much output power. I don't know exactly how much output power it has, but I would say this and the Plenue S don't really have that much output power, but the Crystal does, being this unique current amp technology that they have. It's unique to them, and yeah, this definitely has more power than both of these. Off of the unbalanced, it's interesting because it sounds quite a bit warmer, a little bit even warmer than the Cowon Plenue S, which is already kind of warm because of that PCM chip. But the unbalanced, I guess that's what the AK4490 type of sound is kind of this velvety, AK velvet sound, right? Type of warm sound to it, and it feels almost like similar level to the Hifiman, I think, in case of the unbalanced. But in terms of the balanced, that's just when this the real quality of this player really comes out through the balanced, because it just feels like a real flagship player that can really stand up even today. So off of the balanced, this thing sounds amazing, very, very detailed. Soundstage opens up quite a bit, very forward on the vocals and everything, on the mids. So I would say on the unbalanced output, it's almost similar quality to the Hifiman, just a lot warmer. But on the balanced, yes, the sound quality easily beats the Hifiman and the Cowon Plenue S. So this thing is punches quite a bit above its price. And I would say, yeah, on the balanced output, it's competing up there with the KN-N8 and the Low 2 Poggle Touch from that era. And those are like players that cost like $2,000 more than this player. So that gives you an idea how much more this player punches above its price. Okay, and something a little bit more recent than that, but also pure music focused, is the Death on Ray Prelude Plus that I have. Also has an AK4490, just like the Crystal QP2R. This one came out in 2021, I think, but only single-ended, just like the Hifiman. Doesn't have a balanced. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. Hifiman does have a balanced, but it's a 3.5 balanced. So this thing's only 3.5, just like the Hifiman, and this thing sounds quite a bit better. So I'm not gonna lie, I like the style and the design of the Hifiman player, but I'm not going to lie about this. The Death on Ray definitely sounds like better than the Hifiman in terms of the detail, the soundstage, the musicality. It's definitely a bit warmer. So in terms of warmth, this is pretty much the same as the Plenue S in terms of warmth, which is also kind of similar to the Sony WM1A. They're all kind of similar in terms of that. Yeah, I think similar levels in terms of warmth, and yeah, output power, I would say the Death on Ray is maybe about the same level as Cowon Plenue S, which may be actually a little bit higher than Hifiman. But they're all kind of around the same ballpark, whereas the Crystal has more power than all these. So this feels like it's 700 milliwatts, even though it's not rated exactly at that, but it feels like 700 milliwatts. Yeah, so Death on Ray sounds really good for its price. I mean, $1,000 brand new. But yeah, even though it doesn't have too much output power, but Still sounds really nice. It's got a warm sound from the AK4490, just like the Crystal does on the unbalanced. The balanced actually sounds kind of neutralish on the Crystal, but the Dethone Ray, yeah, it sounds warmish, just like the Plenue S. Yeah, so the Dethone Ray Prelude Plus, yeah, overall this is another player that punches above its price, just like the Crystal. Yeah, this is a $1,000 player, but I think in terms of sound quality, it pretty much outperforms the Hifiman for sure, and the Plenue S probably as well. And then Crystal, it outperforms the unbalanced output, but the balanced output I think on the Crystal is hard to beat, and it's pretty similar if you compare it to the balanced output. Just the Crystal and the balanced sounds pretty neutral, whereas on the unbalanced this sounds very warm, and the Prelude Plus sounds pretty warm as well, probably on par with the Cowon Plenue S in terms of warmth. Very musical, just like the Cowon as well. So yeah, if you were to judge it on several factors, let me actually bring in the WM1A because I did talk about it a bit. So okay, in between here in 2017 or 2016, we have the Sony Walkman WM1A, which retailed for $1,300. Has a proprietary system there, the S Master HX, which is exclusive to Sony. And this one, also in terms of output power, isn't that much, probably on the same level as the Cowon Plenue S, which is probably just a bit more than the Hifiman. In terms of the sound, probably around the same level as the Plenue S, actually, to be honest. It's also kind of punching a little bit above its price too, because it's got this warm neutral type of sound signature, and people know Sony Walkmans for being musical, right? And it does sound, even though this one is a little bit more neutral than the WM1Z, but it's still quite musical. And yeah, if I were to compare all these together, yeah, I would say in terms of output power, obviously it's a Crystal. It feels like 700 watts, even though it's not rated technically at 700 watts, but it feels like it. In terms of sound quality, I think the Hifiman is actually the bottom when it comes to this. So I'm sorry, Hifiman, but it is technically the same internals as the 901, which is a player from 2013. So the rest of these like easily clears Hifiman in terms of sound quality. Like it just feels congested. If I were to compare it to today's DAPs, I would say this probably performs at the level of a $150 DAP today, which is kind of like, if you guys know about those Amazon AliExpress DAPs, like the Hi-Fi Walker DAPs and the Surfans, yeah, this is kind of similar to that in terms of sound quality, which is kind of interesting because the Surfans and the Hi-Fi Walker both use this kind of click wheel and kind of try to copy the Hifiman design as well. If you guys look at their players, it does have the click wheel and similar design to the old Hifimans. But yeah, I would say sound quality is about like that. It's like those $150 Hi-Fi Walker Surfans players that you can find on AliExpress and Amazon. So which is to say, it's good enough for most people, but in terms of audiophiles, I mean, there's stuff that sounds better, right? So Plenue S, Walkman WM1A sounds pretty much on the similar level. Both have a warmish type of tonality to it, and in terms of the sound quality and detail, I would say both of these are on par. Of course, if you use jet effect, then that's a little bit different, and Cowon will pull ahead. But if you don't use jet effect, just the stock sound, then yeah, these two are fairly on the same level. Then ahead of these two in the Hifiman obviously is the Crystal on the balanced output and the Dethone Ray Prelude Plus, both of which sound pretty much on the same tier, I would say, if you compare the balanced of the Crystal and the regular output of the Dethone Ray. Both these sound really, really nice and punch above their price. The tonality is different. On the balanced output, this sounds quite neutral, and the Dethone Ray sounds a bit warmer. Yeah, the Dethone Ray actually sounds closer to the Sony Walkman WM1A and the Cowon Plenue S in terms of tonality, because they're all kind of a little bit warm. But yeah, that's really how I feel about it. Now, this has just been my impressions using the stock amp that I got on the Hifiman. So we can take a look, because I already unscrewed the back here. So it has a removable battery here, which is nice, to see a removable battery on a DAP. And if we remove this, okay, we can see the amp card, right? So we take out this amp card, and this is some kind of, I'm not sure exactly which amp card this is. I think this is the balanced amp card. So it's not the gold amp card that I got with the 901S. So this is the balanced amp card here. Okay, the EF901 is what the stock amp board is called. So yeah, you guys can look that one up, but it came stock with this one, the EF901. Yeah, so my listening impression is basically based on the stock amp card here. So let me swap it out for another amp card. I actually have another one. This one is actually given to me for free by a friend of mine. He said that there's someone in China that makes some of these amp cards, and there's a whole market of aftermarket Hifiman amp cards out there if you look on AliExpress. So I got this one for free, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. So this is the stock balanced amp card here, and then the one I got from my friend. They look pretty different, actually. Pretty different. Let's orient them the same way, yeah. So I'm not sure how this one is like, but what I just described, the neutral tonality with kind of congested feeling soundstage, and not too much detail, or about the same level of detail as a $150 DAP, I would say. That's coming from this card. So let me put this card in. This is the one my friend got from me for free. It goes in this way. And yeah, just put it in and check it out. Oops. Battery back in. Okay. Goes in like, oops. Goes in like this. Okay, there we go. All right, now let's check it out here. Power it on again. By the way, the boot up time for this is a little bit slower than on the 901S. The 901S was just booting up in like 5 seconds probably. Yeah, 901U boots up slower. Yeah, I'll give you guys my listening impressions using this other amp card. I'm not sure what it's called actually. You can actually buy aftermarket amp cards that are hundreds of dollars on AliExpress, which is kind of crazy, right? There's still this aftermarket industry of, well, yeah, this is like the small aftermarket industry of Hifiman amp cards on AliExpress still, which is pretty funny. Like they have amp cards based on like Krell amps, they have amp cards based on Marantz amps. They got the HDAM architecture from Marantz in there. Like it's kind of funny that they got all these aftermarket, and they got amp cards that sound like tubes, you know. So yeah, there's a whole like mini industry of Hifiman amp cards out there, and those amp cards are not cheap either. They cost at least like $100-200 or more. So anyways, yeah, let me check out this amp card. Okay, so after listening for a bit, I think using my friend's amp card is interesting. It does actually change the sound a bit, and first thing I noticed is that it has more power, so which makes sense because it's an amp card, right? So that's one of the main things it should do is change the power output. So I noticed that now I'm on one step past 3, whereas before I had to be on 4, right, using the balanced amp card. So now I changed my friend's amp card, and I have to lower it 2 steps to get the same volume. So it does up the power a bit. I noticed that it is a bit more detailed, and the soundstage doesn't feel as congested anymore. Still got the kind of neutral tonality because of the 901 chip, but yeah, overall, more power and a little bit more detail, and a slightly wider soundstage as well. So now I would say it's definitely closer to like the WM1A or the Cowon Plenue S in terms of the detail. So yeah, I would say the amp cards do have a fairly noticeable effect, which is interesting because like on the actual amp card, it doesn't feel like it had that much on it, but it did actually change it to now where I would feel like it's now like fairly competitive with the WM1A and yeah, the Cowon Plenue S in terms of sound quality. So it's still not going to match the Questyle or the Death and Ray, of course, but in terms of these 3, yeah, now it's like fairly on the same level, I would say, as Plenue S without jet effect. You know, jet effect is kind of cheating, but without jet effect stock, and WM1A stock, no Mr. Walkman firmware mods on that, that's cheating as well. Yeah, if you just compare these 2 stock, with this one with my friend's amp card, then it's pretty much on the same level. But with the stock amp card for the Hifiman, then it's not, it doesn't sound as good on this. But again, this is the HM901U, right? 901S supposedly does sound better. So maybe the 901S sounds like this with my friend's amp card stock. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. Anyways, I'm glad I finally got this player working. So yeah, I actually I like it just mainly as a collector's piece because, I mean, just this type of player, like having something that looks so different in my collection, and then having the physical buttons here, yeah, and the swappable amp cards, and it's just the whole design is kind of unique to Hifiman, right? 3.5 balanced, you don't see that anymore. Yeah, just having kind of a unique player like this is good for my collection, I think, even if I'm not really going to be using it for the sound. It is cool that it has the modular amp cards, right? Because Hifiman pioneered that. Something that KN and Ibeso and Luxury and Precision will kind of use later on in their players, but Hifiman came out with it first. So they really are a pioneer of the DAP industry. The high-end DAP industry, at least. Yeah, we all know, like, you know, Creative and iRiver and Apple, iPod, those things all came before, right? Zune came before. We all know that. Cowon as well. But in terms of the high-end DAP market, I think Hifiman was one of the pioneers, for sure. So gotta have this in my collection. So it's nice I finally got one that actually works, so I can show you guys the sound, which I will do, because I will do the same sound comparison test, and then you guys can kind of hear how the Hifiman sounds like compared to the Cowon Plenue S in the Walkman WM1A. And I think I will use my friend's amp card for that, because it's more on the same level, I would say, on these. And then, yeah, see if you guys can see any differences. So the Hifiman HM901u versus the... actually, I'll use both amp cards, why not? So you guys can see a difference in the amp cards. So, yeah, you guys can hear like the stock amp card, which is I think the balanced amp card. They also have like an IEM amp card, you know, the golden amp card, the tube amp card or whatever, and then the mini box amp card, which is supposedly the highest regarded out of the Hifiman produced ones. There's a bunch of aftermarket amp cards too, but I don't have those. But you guys can hear, yeah, the Hifiman, both of those Hifiman amp cards that I have right now versus the Plenue S versus WM1A, and I'll also put the Quistyle and the Deathlon Ray in the comparison as well, so you guys can hear those two as well. So yeah, anyways, that's it. The Hifiman HM901u finally got it working. Now it's not quite the same as 901S, but you know what? Close enough, right? It definitely looks pretty similar. The only external difference being this little high to low gain switch, which doesn't really make too much difference anyways, but that's the only noticeable difference externally from the 901S. So anyways, that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below the Hifiman HM. Yep. And I believe this is not the last DAP that Hifiman made. They made the R2R 2000 after this, but it is probably like 2015, 2016 is probably when Hifiman kind of stopped making these kind of DAPs and started focusing just more on their headphones and amplifiers. So yeah, they pretty much exited the market like 10 years ago. So yeah, unfortunately they don't make DAPs anymore. I kind of wish they would come back and make DAPs, but they really did pioneer a lot of technologies, like the high-end DAP industry, the swappable amp modules, and then the R2R 2000 with the R2R DAC inside of it. That's pretty ahead of its time. That's ahead of a lot of the other R2R DAPs that we see today. Right nowadays, you see a lot of companies making R2R DAPs, right? The RS8 from Hibi, and then the Ibeso made one, DX270, File made one with the M33, right? KN has always had one. Now the N63 with the module, the R202 module. So yeah, nowadays you see a lot of R2R DAPs, but back in the day, Hifiman was one of the first to come up with one with the R2R 2000. So they are really innovative, I would say, in both the DAP industry and the headphone industry. So anyways, yeah, I'll show you guys the sound differences and the sound comparison coming up, and let me know if you guys can hear a difference and which one you guys would prefer. Oh, one other similarity the Plenue S shares with the Hifiman is that this also only has a 3.5 balanced jack. So yeah, I mean, both these two came out around the same time, right? Like early 2015-ish. And then, yeah, you see like 3.5 balanced here, and then also 3.5 balanced here as well, which is a jack we don't really see much anymore, which is why it's hard for me to actually find an adapter for it. But yeah, both of these have 3.5 balanced. No 2.5, no 4.4. 3.5 balanced. So it's like people are like today is like, what's 3.5 balanced? You know, you have 3.5, people think unbalanced, right? But they have, yeah, 3.5 both balanced and unbalanced. And yeah, that was a thing at one point. Obviously, it never caught on, but yeah, it was a thing. Not quite as popular as even 2.5 back then. In fact, 4.4 was actually the one that was not as popular as 2.5. I think 2.5 back then was the most popular balanced jack for DAPs, because Aston Kern was using it, Cowon later used it as well, Opus used it, some other players used it. 4.4 was only being used by Sony at that time. But yeah, anyways, I digress. The Cowon Plenue S does share a lot of similarities with the Hifiman. Both came out around the same time, both flagship DAPs at that time.
The sun is setting and you're right here by my side, and the movie is playing, but we won't be watching tonight. Every look, every touch makes me wanna give you my heart. I've been crashing on you, baby. Stay right where you are, 'cause I never knew you could hide moonlight in your hands till the night I held you. The sun is setting and you're right here by my side, and the movie is playing, but we won't be watching tonight. Every look, every touch makes me wanna give you my heart. I've been crashing on you, baby. Stay right where you are, 'cause I never knew you could hide moonlight in your hands till the night I held
Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. I was alone, I took a ride, didn't know what I would find. There life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. I was alone, I took a ride, didn't know what I would find there. Another road where maybe I could see another side there. Ooh, and then I suddenly see you. Ooh, and then I tell you that I need you every single day of my life.
The sun is setting, and you're right here by my side. And the movie is playing, but we won't be watching tonight. Every look, every touch makes me wanna give you my heart. I've been crashing on you, baby. Stay right where you are, 'cause I never knew you could hide moonlight in your hands till the night I held you. The sun is setting, and you're right here by my side. And the movie is playing, but we won't be watching tonight. Every look, every touch makes me wanna give you my heart. I've been crashing on you, baby. Stay right where you are, 'cause I never knew you could hide moonlight in your hands till the night I held you. The sun is setting, and you're right here by my side. And the movie is playing, but we won't be watching tonight. Every look, every touch makes me wanna give you my heart. I've been crashing on you, baby. Stay right where you are, 'cause I never knew you could hide moonlight in your hands till the night I held you. The sun is setting, and you're right here by my side. And the movie is playing, but we won't be watching tonight. Every look, every touch makes me wanna give you my heart. I've been crashing on you, baby. Stay right where you are, 'cause I never knew you could hide moonlight in your hands till the night I held you.
Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. I was alone, I took a ride, didn't know what I would find. There, another road where maybe I could see another side. There, ooh, and then I suddenly see, ooh, and then I tell you that I need you every single day of my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. I was alone, I took a ride, didn't know what I would find. There, another road where maybe I could see another side. There, ooh, and then I suddenly see, ooh, and then I tell you that I need you every single day of my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. I was alone, I took a ride, didn't know what I would find. There, another road where maybe I could see another side. There, ooh, and then I suddenly see, ooh, and then I tell you that I need you every single day of my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. Got to get you into my life, into my life. my life, burning my life.